Some mysteries are never solved, not because no one searched for the truth, but because the truth is too terrifying to accept. In this video, you'll hear 4 real-life horror cases that were never explained, each one darker than the last. A plane vanishes in 1954, only to land 35 years later, with no communication, no distress call, and a cockpit full of skeletons. A young boy goes missing in the woods and is found days later, silent, barefoot, and somehow not the same. His own mother says he came back wrong. A live stream begins like any other. A girl heads to her basement after hearing strange noises. Thousands watch as the camera glitches. She screams. The feed cuts, and she's never seen again. And deep in the Alaskan wilderness, there's a forest where even sound dies. No birds, no wind, no echoes. People enter and either vanish completely or come back broken. These are real places, real reports, real encounters. Watch till the end, because these 4 stories are more than just disturbing. They're warnings. It was a regular afternoon at the Porto Alegre airport. The sun had just dipped behind thick clouds, and runway traffic was slow. Air traffic controller Luis Almeida had been sipping his strong coffee when he noticed a blip on his radar, an incoming aircraft. No ID, no communication. Curious, he adjusted the frequency. Still silence. Then, the impossible occurred. The plane landed itself, skimming low over the tarmac with its engines humming like an ancient machine. The aircraft touched down with chilling precision. The wheels screeched. Sparks flew. No distress signal. No tower communication. Nothing. And then it just sat there. A ghost plane. The ground team, stunned and suspicious, cautiously approached the aircraft. Faded and weather-beaten. The plane's paint bore the insignia of Santiago Airlines, a company that had folded in the late 1950s. The tail number? PPSA. Cross-referencing it took seconds. Luis's jaw clenched as he read the result. Santiago Flight 513. Disappeared September 4th, 1954 inch. This plane had been missing for 35 years. It had taken off from Aachen, West Germany, headed for Brazil, then vanished without a trace over the Atlantic. Declared lost. 92 passengers presumed dead. Yet here it was, resting silently in Porto Alegre like it had just landed yesterday. Military and airport authorities arrived within the hour. Clad in hazmat suits, they breached the sealed door. And what they found was worse than any theory they'd whispered outside. Skeletons. Every seat was occupied. 92 fully clothed skeletons, belted in. Some with hands clasped, others seemingly frozen mid-movement. In the cockpit, the pilots remained sat upright. The co-pilot's hand was still resting on the throttle. Even stranger, the engines were still warm. How could a plane missing for 35 years fly with functioning engines? No fuel stop and no crew? Brazilian authorities cordoned off the scene immediately. No official statements were made for 48 hours. Finally, a press conference was held. General Ernesto Rodriguez confirmed that an aircraft matching Flight 513's description had landed, but he dismissed any supernatural explanation. He claimed the plane had been part of a long-lost Cold War experiment, abandoned, then remotely flown by unknown actors. Privately, airport staff whispered otherwise. Many had seen the flames from the landing gear, the warm engine, the smell of aviation fuel, none of which made sense for an aircraft. Supposedly lost for decades. Almost immediately, the conspiracy circles went into overdrive. The most popular theory claims Flight 513 entered a rift in the space-time continuum, a time slip or wormhole somewhere over the Atlantic. It vanished from 1954 only to exit 35 years later, unaged and intact. The skeletons? Victims of the trauma of temporal distortion or starvation, suspended in a void of time. Others pointed to alien involvement. The warm engines, said one forum post, suggest recent propulsion. Aliens could have studied the passengers, then returned the plane years later. Some claimed Flight 513 was used in teleportation or anti-gravity experiments, inspired by projects like the alleged Philadelphia experiment, but no records ever supported this. A week later, the Brazilian government announced that the plane had been a hoax. Fabricated to test airport security, they said. The plane was moved. All photos and video footage were seized. Staff who'd spoken to reporters were silenced or reassigned. But the story didn't disappear. Independent researchers, including aviation historian Jacques Fallat, scoured international flight logs. There was no Santiago. Airlines registered Flight 513 in 1954, even the tail number. PPSA couldn't be matched to any civilian plane of that era. So was it a fake? In 1989, a tabloid photo surfaced showing the cockpit of Flight 513-2, skeletal pilots in uniform. The photo was later dismissed as staged, originating from the Weekly World News, infamous for fabrications. But others claimed different, that the original image was real, and the tabloid merely spoofed it after the government had covered it up. To this day, no public access to Flight 513's remains. No wreckage, no museum exhibit, no photos in Brazil's aviation archives. No living witnesses, at least none willing to speak on record. All that exists are newspaper clippings, blurry images, a few redacted aviation reports, and this unsettling fact. Something landed in Porto Alegre in 1989, and the government tried to erase it. 7-year-old Eli Matthews vanished during a weekend camping trip with his family in the dense woods of Green Mountain National Forest. One moment, he was skipping ahead on a trail. The next, he was simply gone. No scream, no signs of struggle, just silence. His parents, frantic, searched for hours. Authorities arrived and launched a massive search and rescue operation. For 3 full days, drones, dogs, and dozens of volunteers combed the forest. Nothing, not even footprints. On the 4th day, just as searchers were about to call it off, Eli walked out of the trees, calm, barefoot, and with no memory of where he'd been. At first, the Matthews family was overjoyed, but within days, his mother Ashley knew something was deeply wrong. "He wasn't my son," she later said in a recorded interview. "He looked like Eli, but he moved differently, quieter, more deliberate. He spoke in full sentences, unlike before. He showed no emotional response to things he used to love, his dog, his toys, his favorite cartoon. And one night, She found him standing in the living room at 3:17 a.m., whispering into the dark. He says you don't see the truth yet. Concerned, Ashley and her husband took drastic action. They had a private DNA test done. The result? 99.5% match, but 0.5% unknown anomaly. The lab dismissed it as contamination, but Ashley pressed further. She requested federal testing. Days later, the FBI showed up at their door, not to assist, but to warn them to stop. Agent Daniels from the FBI's behavioral unit visited them with two plain-clothed officers. "You should be grateful your son is home," he said flatly. "Some children never return." Ashley asked about the DNA. Daniels only replied, "Sometimes the forest gives back, but it doesn't give back the same." The next morning, the FBI had taken the DNA reports. A neighbor who'd helped photograph Eli's odd behavior? Gone. Her house was empty, as if no one had ever lived there. Before being wiped, one CCTV video from a trail camera showed Eli, or what looked like Eli, walking backward through the trees, entering from deep within the forest. The timestamp showed 2:03 a.m. The forest had been under surveillance that night. Nothing else came in or out. No one let him back. But the boy was dry. Not a scratch. His feet were clean. The missing 411 project has chronicled hundreds of cases where children vanish in national parks, often returning unharmed, but changed. In 1972, a boy named Ricky McDaniel disappeared for 4 days in Oregon and came back with reversed memories. He thought his parents were imposters. In Alaska, a girl found after vanishing kept repeating, "The tall one let me go." Ashley eventually moved far from Vermont, never allowing Eli near the woods again. "Whatever came back," she once said in a podcast, "was not my son. It just wore his face." Olivia Kane was a rising influencer with nearly 3 million followers on Instagram and TikTok. She was known for her dark humor, gothic aesthetic, and strange fascination with ARGs, alternate reality games. On July 9th, 2021, she began a live stream at 2:12 a.m., unusual even for her. She titled it, "You won't believe what's in my basement." It was the last time anyone saw her. The footage begins with Olivia holding her phone, laughing. "Okay, guys, remember that weird noise I told you about? It's back." She descends into her basement, joking about raccoons or spirits. Then the signal briefly flickers, just a flash of static. When it returns, she's at the base of the stairs. Behind her is a concrete wall that wasn't there before. It looked wet. Comments explode. "What the hell? Did your house change?" She turns. There's a low hum, like distant machinery. Then, from her left, a shape moves past the frame, barely visible, but tall, featureless, fast. She screams. The feed cuts. Police arrived hours later. The house was empty, basement intact. No wall. No sign of Olivia. The live stream vanished from Instagram and TikTok, though tens of thousands had seen it. Her devices were missing. Her laptop had been wiped. The local police labeled it a runaway case. Internet sleuths recovered 8 frames from the feed, saved via screen capture. In one frame, zoomed and enhanced, a symbol was etched into the wall behind her, a circle with 3 horizontal lines through it, known among dark web users as the sigil of silence. Some believe it's linked to Lost, live streamers who delve too deep into AI-generated horror ERGs. Others theorize she triggered an AI reality game that went wrong, possibly one that used GPS data to build altered environments in real life. Olivia had received emails days earlier from a username, observer_0x, referencing a deep web mystery called The Bleed. She joked on stream about playing it. Now she's gone.